Woman hears noise coming from living room and sees this on the couch. But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe to Happy World, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories. One day, Lauren Taylor found an unexpected house guest in her living room. However, unlike other visitors, this one had a bloodlust like no other. Lauren didn't know what to do in the situation. Could she figure out a way to overcome the unexpected visit? No one could have prepared her for this. Lauren was left defenseless against the unannounced guest, and when her visitor finally got up, Lauren began to sweat. Although a fully qualified lawyer, no quick phrases would help her argue her way out of this one. Lauren Taylor knew she had finally met her match, and her match languidly sat on her sofa, unperturbed by what was happening. But before Lauren knew who she was up against, she'd begun to notice odd happenings around her house. The perpetrator definitely was not friendly, as Lauren discovered when arriving home one afternoon. One afternoon, Lauren made her way into her home. However, she noticed something in her yard was not right. Lauren had a large pond out back. This was usually the idyllic, serene place for her to clear her thoughts. However, today there was something amiss about the area. It seemed as though some sort of commotion had occurred. But as Lauren began to follow the trail, something else came up. A sound that sent chills down Lauren's spine. Whilst exploring the pond, Lauren heard something emanating from inside the house. Lauren spun on the spot. She had to know if her suspicions were correct. Slowly, she followed the sound. It seemed to be coming from her living room. Lauren noticed her living room doors had been left open. But were they left open or broken into? Suddenly, a louder sound rang from the room. Lauren raised her eyes, only to be met with a piercing stare of the perpetrator. It took everything in Lauren not to let out a shrill yelp. Looking back at her were two brilliantly luminescent eyes. The cougar eyed Lauren suspiciously. Instantaneously, she froze on the spot. Lauren began to sweat. She had no idea what to do. Calmly, she backed away. But the cat did not like this. The growls grew intensely, as though daring Lauren to take one more step. But quickly, Lauren thought of something on her feet. Oregon is known for their big cat problem. Cougar sightings were common in Lauren's area, but recently no attacks have been reported. Comforting though this was, Lauren couldn't help but wonder if she'd be the first. There was always a first for everything. And the way she was being held hostage by this cougar, anything could happen. But when her roommate arrived at home, all hell broke loose. Lauren heard her roommate pull up the drive. Instead of being relieved by the thought of support, Lauren grew restless. She knew her roommate would make a ruckus, and who knew how the cougar would react to this? Lauren's roommate waltzed into the house. When she saw the cougar, she let out a piercing scream. Following that, she slammed the door as she fled. This sent the cougar into hysteria, and Lauren was stuck in the room with it. At that moment, Lauren knew she was up against all odds. The cougar was caged in a corner. This only aggravated the animal more. Lauren knew if she turned and ran to the open, it would be game over. The large predator lashed out at Lauren. Trepidation began to build in her spirit. But as it did, Lauren put the feeling to sleep. She knew there was only one way to make it out of this unscathed. So Lauren began to do something unthinkable. Lauren slowly began to lower her jitters. She knew that the only way to get out of this situation was to love the animal out. Lauren knew animals had an uncanny ability to sense fear. As such, she tried to create a sense of calm around the cougar. However, this wasn't so easy. When a 140-pound predator is looking lustfully at you, calm isn't the first thing on one's mind. But then the cougar began to react. Out of nowhere, the cougar got up and began to pace around. This was concerning, as it was merely sitting in the corner before. The pacing animal sent a plethora of thoughts through Lauren's mind. Was the cougar sizing her up? Would she be the next meal? Trying desperately to thwart the thoughts away, Lauren clung to the calm mindset. The cougar paced for what seemed like a lifetime. But then a miracle happened. Slowly, the animal made its way behind the couch. There, it proceeded to lay down. Lauren could not believe her luck. She'd been involved in a stare down with the cat for what seemed like hours. After a few minutes, she heard the cat's breathing deepen. At this, Lauren slowly backed out of the room. When in the clear, she made a beeline for the front door. The cougar proceeded to sleep for 6 hours behind the sofa. But dawn was approaching and the cat was still asleep. Lauren began to wonder how they would get the cougar out of their living room peacefully. Dawn was nearing and the cat couldn't stay there forever. The last thing she wanted to do was cause fret to the sleeping animal. It was then that she and her roommate had a brainwave. They decided to subtly begin drumming. The pair focused their energy on drumming softly so as not to startle the cougar. Slowly the cat rose, and as their drumming continued, it walked to the door and let itself out. But why did it gravitate to the lounge in the first place? Lauren's house was definitely nature-centric. The lounge in which the lion had entered was filled with plants. It also had a staircase built around a tree. Lauren speculated that the animal had just felt right at home when walking into the room. She and her housemate try to bring as much of the outdoors indoors as they possibly can. But when Lauren shared her story, no one anticipated the response it gained. Lauren had been sharing the lion encounter in real time on Facebook. She never anticipated the response she'd get. However, people loved her for it. Lauren was praised by many for being so kind to the creature. People also appreciated how she'd not made the cat into a villain. Lauren aimed to show how, with the right treatment, any animal can be handled. But she cautioned that she has experience with these creatures. But her real-time story was only the beginning. Lauren continues to love and appreciate all animals. The cougar count in Oregon is still on the rise. But fortunately, Lauren knows she can handle any cat that comes her way. The experience was literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and one Lauren wouldn't change for the world. This is possibly one of the closest ways a person can come to nature, and she'd live to tell the tale.